um, what is it called? I haven't drank this coffee yet.
Hi, my name is Kayli McIntyre, and I'm the Education Program Manager here at Lyric Arts.
For someone who might not know, what does a program manager do? What does an education program manager in particular do?
I program the classes. I choose, okay, here are the themes and the class models we're going to use, just planning. I also do the teaching artist hiring. I do communication with parents, as well as some policy writings. I always think about it in terms of like, how can I take like all the guesswork out of things so that parents, this is like one less thing they have to be stressed about.
You also teach classes at Lyric Arts as well, right?
This is my teaching, teaching station. I didn't know how much I loved teaching classes actually until I started working. Part of the reason why I do that is because it helps me know what teaching artists that are working for us, what kinds of things do they need to know, and what are some needs I may be able to anticipate.
How did you come up to this point of being the education program manager? Like, when did it all start?
Musical theater was always a part of my life growing up. My dad's a musician. Always grew up listening to musical theater, and it was always just kind of something I was going to do. I did my first show at the Children's Theater when I was 10. I basically haven't stopped since that time. Always doing theater, always performing. I was doing like some education interning when I was in high school, just because I liked kids. Then when I got to college, I ended up getting a job as the assistant education program manager at a place called Trolled Performing Arts School in Moorhead, Minnesota. That just opened this whole new world to me of theater education programming. And I was like, oh, I can be a part of creating that community. I lived blocks away from Lyric Arts growing up. All throughout my college times, was auditioning remotely for shows for Lyric, and so it was always in my mind as a place I wanted to go back to, even, you know, in some kind of capacity. I graduated from college, I finished my first job out of college, and popped up, Lyric Arts is looking for an education program manager, and I said, I do that.
Do you like it here?
Yes, I do. It's been such an experience. You know, I don't think it's the first year in a job that I ever...
What? You didn't expect a pandemic? Kayli.
For everything to change. I started this job and I knew I'm a one-person department. You know, it's me. On my first day, I remember sitting in my office being like, where do I? I was able to really call upon my coworkers to help me. You go to somebody at Lyric on the staff and you say, hey, can you just do this? Help me with this, or do this one thing for me, or join me in this. They are usually right there for you. The group is just fun. You know, we talk about TV shows and what's going on in our lives, and it's really fun. That's a great environment.
What motivates you about your job?
What motivates me every day is 100% the students. Arts is something that they need, even if they don't know it until they do it. We have students that just once they get into their first class, they didn't even realize that this kind of an activity was a possibility for them, and that there were students like them out there. Because that was the coolest thing about when I was in arts education as a youth for 4 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever it was. I would go to a completely different community with people from different backgrounds than me, different needs, and we just created something together. And that act of creating something with, you know, essentially strangers is just one of the coolest things. In a matter of a week, 1 week, at the beginning of the class, these students were not friends. But by the end of the class, they were so sad to say goodbye to each other. That just is a testament to what
arts can do for kids.
Can do for everybody. And if we can have students do that when they're young, keep building that up, that's going to be valuable for everyone, I think.
So what was the first show that got you started what was the first show that started you at Lyric Arts? Were you in it? Were you like behind the scenes? How did that work?
So I was in Hairspray, and I was in Grease. I almost said Rent, which was not true. I was one of the Corny Collins kids. I was Shelly. So when they do the little list of names,
yes.
my action was Shelly! And then I'd run.
Did you have any shenanigans backstage that you can recall?
I tell this story to our students all the time when we talk about on-stage mistakes. This was in Greece. I had this dress that I would wear during the prom, so I was one of the ensemble members, and it was a really old dress. Slowly throughout the run, it started to fray a little bit. For those of you who've never met me in person or can't tell in this camera, I am under 5 feet tall. In high school, I was even smaller. I was paired with this very tall, very, very muscular gentleman. There was this swing dancing move that we would do where I would go underneath his legs and he would pull me back out. And one night, I slid under, he stepped on my dress and pulled me out, and the whole side of the dress from here down slid, tore right open. And it was on the audience downstage side, and I was trying to hold it together. So that was a good mem. My very favorite show that I've ever done in my life, ever, was 1940s Radio Christmas Carol a year ago.
Directed by Sean Bird.
Sean Bird is just, wow, what a great director. It was my, like I said, first year out of college. I'd been doing some shows. I was in this new job at Lyric, and you're still just kind of figuring out what you're gonna do. Where do you fit into this Twin Cities theater moment, if at all? You're trying to figure it out. And it was just such a life-giving experience. The cast of that show was just the sweetest people I think I've ever met. And that's who Lyric works with. And it was a heartwarming show too. It's the Christmas show. I had lost my dog during that time, who was my best friend. The community, the cast there just rallied around me and was super supportive. And it was all because of Sean Bird's direction and his freedom and how he fostered community, and then the people that he chose to cast that want to come to Lyric. Isn't that so cool that people that awesome want to come to our theater to work? And that speaks a lot of volumes to me.
Raise your hand if you cried before 10:30. This is kind of a recurring question that I ask everyone, but I want to know, one, how has it looked for you as an artist pursuing your passion and your career? And how has it looked for you as a person? If there's challenges, but also I want to know how you're also coping with it during this time.
We've been doing this pandemic for 6 months now, and I think it's something I'm still wrestling with. And a lot of my focus has been on our education program, and that's been my artistic outlet. I think for a while there was this feeling of oh, but this is just going to be a couple months and then we'll be done. And I think maybe in a way I kind of kept waiting for that. Okay, but this is kind of our reality right now.
Right.
So let's do what we can do in this reality. Yeah, working towards that, working on that, but mostly throwing myself into making art with our students, which is super fulfilling for me and has really carried me. As we come back, things change and come back alive in new ways. I want to be ready to go. We are gonna do this.